Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
Here at Fields & Brown Barbershop, legacy means a lot. We're trying to fill big shoes left by my two uncles and my grandfather, where every haircut came with conversation and every customer left a little taller than when they walked in. The barbershop is about pride. It's about knowing your barber knows your name and your story. Come see us at Fields & Brown Barbershop, where tradition never goes out of style. 3 generations, 1 legacy, your barbershop.
Arctic Air keeps your home or business comfortable. For more than 20 years, we've provided outstanding residential and commercial services through southern Middle Tennessee. Whether you need assistance with your heat, air conditioning, preventive maintenance, or anything in between, trust our reliable team to get the job done. We'll take the time to figure out your specific needs and recommend what we believe is right and best for your situation.
We've been using Arctic Air for over 15 years now. Their service is great, they're here when we need them, and their prices are competitive. They take the worry out of the heat and air so I don't have to.
Arctic Air. When you need us, we'll be there.
Financial advisor Scott Beasley knows time spent with family is everything. As a founder of Beasley Wealth Management, his mission is to give clients the freedom to enjoy time with family without the burden of financial concerns. A local of Lawrenceburg, Scott deeply values building relationships with clients, ensuring they make informed decisions concerning asset management, tax planning, and retirement planning. Offering a free initial consultation, Beasley Wealth Management helps clients pursue their aspirations with confidence. A local law firm respected throughout the state. Generations of clients have turned to Boston, Holt, and Durham since 1948. We assist individuals and businesses with their legal needs, including real estate, property closings, personal injury, employment discrimination, and family law. Our clients get the personal attention and convenience of a hometown law firm with the resources and ability to handle any case. Come see us at Boston, Holt, and Durham.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
And welcome everybody here to X Sports Today. AJ Good here with Michael Marks. Don't have a great trusty computer that I've had here the last few days, but we are back and ready to rock. Don't know where Taylor Plott is. He's putting futures down on Wyoming to win the Mountain West somewhere right now. But Mike, week 2 just seems like every time when we come to college football and they go, it's a boring slate. There's just not a lot of exciting stuff on the slate. Then the next thing you know, bunch of upsets.
It's always those quiet slates that provide the best games. You know, I was thinking it going into last week that, week 1 may have had a better slate, but very top heavy. This week, while it may not have had a bunch of ranked on ranked matchups, I think the matchups we did get were excellent.
They were really good. Oklahoma, Michigan was really good. Florida, South Florida, which a lot of people were kind of like, that's a bit of a trap game.
Yeah.
And guess who South Florida's got next week? Miami. Watch out, Hurricanes.
Hey, South Florida, the only team in the country with 2 ranked wins right now, and I'm not taking them too seriously yet. But if they even look competitive against Miami, which is very possible, this could be your Group of 5 team in the playoff.
Yeah,
and this would be a competitive Group of 5 team in the playoff. I mean,
and we weren't even talking about that. Not the least bit. They didn't even register in the best teams in the American. No. Right, we were thinking Tulane, and then Tulane's still pretty good, but this team has come out. Tennessee fans know your former offensive coordinator, and he has built not only a pretty good offensive team, his defense, Boise, Florida, and to shut them down the way that they've done, that defense has been pretty good.
Yeah, it's been stout, and part of me was thinking, man, Alex Golis really got to win it at the Swamp before Josh Heupel did with Tennessee, and that that hurt a little bit. But I mean, Florida got caught looking ahead because they got a huge game this next week with, I believe, LSU. They got to travel to Death Valley and face LSU. And kind of a revenge game for the Tigers, and they got caught looking ahead. And South Florida, this is one of their Super Bowl games of the year. Yeah. So I mean, it was kind of.
And that Florida game, what is it with games like that down the wire when one of their players just does something completely stupid? Like COVID year, you had the guy
the shoe toss
through the shoe. Then this guy gets up when they're on on their side of the field. You spit in his face, and it just sparks that offense, and they kill the clock for
I don't know if you watched the entire last drive because it was around the time we got home on Saturday.
Yeah,
USF had the ball, got the ball in like the 6, and then they got a couple yards, passing interference, and then that. I mean, they literally penaltied themselves all the way down the field, and it cost them.
Yeah, we watched a good portion of pretty much the whole fourth quarter where we were out to eat on Saturday. So I mean, it was close. They just made way too many mistakes, and boy.
Yeah. I don't know what it is with defensive linemen spitting in people's faces. I mean, I think
a pandemic.
Yeah,
it's like some volleyball serves into the net. We get like 5 in a row, and then all of a sudden we get a pro guy does it, ejected. A college guy does it, ejected. Keeps a drive alive that they eventually lose, and now everyone's calling for Napier's job. I mean, I kind of feel bad for the guy in a way.
Yeah, because I mean that was not 100% on Billy Napier. A guy from your team spit in somebody else's face, and now it's your problem. If you want guys to play like Jalen Carter, maybe don't mean it too literally.
Yeah, exactly. We did get some upsets. Baylor defeating SMU on the road. That looks like an upset now. Might not be an upset later. And then Mississippi State.
Whew.
What an ending that game was. It looked like Arizona State had completed the comeback. They looked like they had them shut down on their side of the field. And next thing you know, busted coverage. Guy runs literally the fastest guy in the SEC. Runs by everybody. He scores a game-winning touchdown. Throw an interception on the first play, and maybe your Big 12 favorite goes down. It could be, Arizona got off to a horrible start. Mississippi State came out on fire. Blake Shapen in that offense did a really good job. Defense was kind of holding some things together there, but looked like the dam had just broke. Looked like Arizona State was going to complete the comeback. Then they hit that big play, and it's like, okay, that's what really good teams do.
Yeah, it was just a really confusing game because, coming into it, looking at the two quarterbacks, I would have thought Sam Leavitt would have been the guy that's more, comfortable in this situation and not Blake Shapen. But, the way Arizona State got back into this game was taking Sam Leavitt out of it.
Right.
Nothing. It was not letting him throw the ball. Raleek Brown, Kanye Udo were awesome running the ball. And I think that last drive was 12 or 13 straight run plays for Arizona State to get them down. But a great goal line stand for Mississippi State, and that set them up beautifully to have that long pass play down the field. And Brennan Thompson, the hero in Starkville.
How about Oklahoma, man? That team came out on fire, put Michigan in a hole, and the Wolverines can never get out of it. They certainly look like they had an inexperienced quarterback in there. Oklahoma certainly had an experienced quarterback. I thought their defense did a lot of really, really good things, and this is looking like the team that was Big 12 champions year in and year out right now. That could be a factor in the SEC here, not just this year, but the year to come. And I think the way things are looking is looking like Brent Venables might be saving his job this year.
Yeah, huge win in Norman, Oklahoma. I mean, obviously John Mateer had a great game, 23 of 34 for 270 yards. But the thing from the box score that catches my eye the most, he almost ran the ball 20 times.
Right.
And that's a lot, physically to put on your quarterback. He's a big guy, but I'd hope that this isn't something that comes back to bite them later in the season when they're trying to get another win to get in the playoff or something like that, and their quarterback ends up hurt. Bryce Underwood, I kind of feel bad for in the Michigan scenario because last year Michigan could not throw the ball at all. Well, they got a good quarterback, and they're like, maybe that'll fix it. Well, the problem is he needs somebody to throw to. He's got Donovan McGoley, who had a great game, the big wide receiver, at 91 yards, but he really had nothing to throw to. And other than Justice Haynes breaking off that big run, Michigan's offense did nothing the entire night.
Right, and they did make it interesting there at the end, but the Sooners kind of pulled away a bit. Some impressive performances. Oregon over Oklahoma State. I think we knew the Ducks were going to win, the Ducks were going to cover, but that was like, whoa, where in the world did that come out from?
Yeah, I think it's about time that we see Mike Gundy, kind of step off and ride off into the sunset. And nothing against him. He's been an outstanding coach. He went to a program that didn't really have a standard of winning and set that standard. Now we're disappointed at this Oklahoma State team for losing like this. Right. And I mean, any team would be disappointed with a loss like that. But I think it's probably I think the game's starting to pass him up. I think it's time for him to probably ride off into the sunset and this be his last year. But like we said early in the season, Dan Lanning isn't messing around. Yeah. And he's got a real dude at quarterback in Dante Moore and just a ton of pieces around him. And this could be a serious Oregon team to watch.
A couple of interesting games that were pretty wild. LSU only beats Louisiana Tech 23-7. You think coming off beating Clemson the week before, this team would be firing on all cylinders in their week one opener, and they only beat them 23-7. And it was a slow-moving 23-7. I mean, just taking a look quickly at the box score, 365 yards of total offense, only gave up 154, but this team just did not execute well at all against La Tech.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same defense we saw last week against Clemson. They looked awesome, but the offense, it took a dip, and a concerning dip. Last week what I talked about was so big, and for them winning them the game was Caden Durham and them running the ball. 13 carries for 29 yards. That's not going to cut it, especially against Louisiana Tech. Nussmeier looked all right. Had an interception. But it looked like for the most part, it's just LSU trying to find out what works on offense. They lost a lot last year and have a lot of new pieces this year, so it's just trying to fit them in. But I think with the way LSU and Florida played this week, that makes that matchup in Death Valley next week really, really interesting.
Yeah, you literally took the words out of my mouth. And Clemson was down 16-3 at halftime to Troy. Now the third quarter, they came out with their pants on fire. Scored once again in the fourth. I mean, 24 unanswered points in the second half. But, man, they dug themselves a hole from the get-go. And it's almost like we don't know what Clemson team's going to show him. Now, this Troy team, always been really good out of the Sun Belt. They're always kind of in that mix to win the conference. But they've gone in there as a really good team before, and Clemson's blown them out.
Yeah, this was
different.
This is one of those looking at it, and it was Clemson with like a 30-point spread or something like that. It's like, oh yeah, I mean Troy's good, but Clemson will destroy them, and it wasn't that at all. It was very similar to the LSU and Louisiana Tech game that. Maybe Clemson and LSU weren't really as great as everybody had them hyped up to be. Cade Klubnik, it's his fourth year, and I still don't think he's got it figured out. And Clemson is in a spot where they have Garrett Riley, an incredibly smart offensive coordinator, but I think they're still trying to do what Dabo wants. And kind of in the sense of Mike Gundy, that's not going to work anymore. And Clemson. Adam Randall had an all-right game, but they still haven't been able to run the ball well. Brian Wesco is a really good receiver. They got to get more on the offensive side. But, props to them for coming back because you got down 16-0 early in that game. It's kind of easy to kind of just zone out, tune out, and let Troy kind of kill you.
Yeah, and Troy kind of shot themselves in the foot. 3 turnovers and 10 penalties for 97 yards. So you can make an argue, just looking at the box score, again, I didn't really watch the game, but just looking at the box score, you can go, maybe they ain't gifted you that win in a way, as poorly as they played. Illinois made a statement, I thought, Mike, against Duke. Close game, first half, and in the second half, man, the Illini really just kind of put it on the Blue Devils. I mean, outscored them 31-6 in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really close game at halftime, 14-13. Illinois had a slight edge over Duke, but you kind of felt like, okay, Duke's hanging around in it enough. It's at Duke. Maybe they'll get something going in the second half, but Darian Mensah didn't have enough. The turnovers kind of started biting them there at the end. And really surprising, Illinois did their damage through the air. Right. Luke Altmaier had a tremendous game, and Hank Beatty, he might be the guy to watch out for a quiet All-American out there, a wide receiver.
We did have a couple conference games. Ole Miss, man, something about Kentucky. Kentucky's got their number. They can never really blow them out. Kentucky's kind of proven to be a little bit better than what a lot of people expected, but Man, they beat them 30-23 on the road. I don't know what's more shocking, how close the game was, or the fact Kentucky scored over 20 points in a game this year.
Yeah, or the fact that they let their quarterback throw it 30 times.
Right.
Looking back, I don't know how I didn't see this coming. Austin Simmons has had a bit of a turnover problem early in the season. Already his 4th interception in 2 games. Kawan Lacey has been awesome for Ole Miss running the ball. The transfer from Missouri has really done well for them. And Ole Miss is doing their thing again, where they have one guy that they'll throw the ball to 10, 15 times a game and let him take you out one for one. But I think Kentucky did a great job hanging around. I mean, they ran the ball, they did what they wanted to do, and really, if it wasn't for the second and third quarter, Kentucky dominated this game.
We did have an ACC game. Virginia and NC State might have been one of the best games of the day, and Virginia really dominated there in the first half. But NC State comes out, outscores them 21-7. Nobody scored in the fourth quarter. All the points were scored in the first 3 quarters, which, that's just a wild stat line to look at. But the NC State, maybe not the dormant program a lot of people expected them to be this year.
Yeah, and obviously coming off week 1, you didn't have crazy high expectations for NC State. They only barely got by a rival in East Carolina, but a much smaller school. And, this week facing a Virginia team that I think I kind of look at them very similarly, both, where their programs are right now. But I just think we saw a good play from the defenses down the stretches, and that's what you want to see from these two teams. But I think Chandler Morris is awesome for UVA, but I think that CJ Bailey and NC State just got a little bit more.
Yeah, you basically Dave Doran and what's his name?
Tony Elliott.
Yeah, those guys got to coaching for their jobs.
Yeah.
But those offenses are really good. But Carter Finley Stadium is not a place you want to go. A lot of teams go there to die. Clemson has lost there a couple times. Florida State at their height of what they were in the 90s and the early 2000s.
It's a sneaky place.
Always lost at Carter Finley Stadium. Notre Dame has lost there a couple times. It's not an easy place to go. Let's go to our local teams here, Mike. Vandy, a really close game early going against Virginia Tech, but really came on strong. They scored 34 points in the second half, held the Hokies to nothing after trailing 20-10 at the half, and what a great second half comeback there by the Commodores.
Yeah, it looked like they really just took that first quarter and really just the entire first half to kind of get into things. They were a little sputtering at the beginning of that game. Pavia had the turnover, but other than that, the second half it was all Vanderbilt. Yes, Pavia looked really good. Cedric Alexander looked really good, but Richardson, the wide receiver.
Yeah.
I wasn't a guy that I was very high, I didn't have much thoughts of him in my head going into the season. But man, that one-handed catch in the end zone really kind of turned the tide of that one. And it, Vandy's defense was awesome down the stretch. And I kind of feel bad for Kyler Drones. Was sacked 3 times all in the second half, and poor guy was just running for his life.
Yeah, Vandy 490 yards, 228 through the air, 262 on the ground. And Mike, they were 5 of 7 on third down. You win a lot of games if you can go 5 of 7.
Yeah, and really that's what Vanderbilt has done such a good job of under Diego Pavia is converting on third downs. And, they don't find themselves in a lot of third and long situations. If you look at Vanderbilt, it's 3rd and 6, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 2, something like that. And those are easy to pick up when you have a quarterback that's as shifty as he is.
Yeah. Tennessee, obviously, we knew they were going to take care of business. Win big, 72-17, and really nothing shocking out of that.
Yeah, most points that Tennessee scored in the AP poll era. Was surprised that it was only 72, but offense looked really good. Joey Aguilar, had a great first half. Still yet to make a turnover, so that's been huge. Yeah. This was just trying to get some of the young guys in there to play. Obviously, you saw Jake Merkwinger and George McIntyre all got to play. But I think that all that game did was kind of solidify that this is who Tennessee is, and you got a big game coming up next week.
Obviously, got Georgia only beat Austin Peay 28-6. They had some lightning delays, so some weird things in that. And Bama gets back on the right track, 73-0. Again, we expected them to dominate, but we also expect them to dominate against Florida State. Didn't happen, but this is a good little bounce back before they get Wisconsin coming to them next week.
Yeah, scored every drive of the game, looked good on offense from start to finish. Ty Simpson didn't have an incompletion. So if you're Alabama, this was the best case scenario coming into week 2, especially with how poor you looked in week 1, just trying to stopping the ball, stopping the run, and they did a great job of that against ULM.
Coming up next, Mike, we're going to take a look at week number 1 in the NFL. A lot of wild outcomes, a lot of unexpected stuff, which is a good thing, which is why we love the NFL. And then right after that, we'll take a look at what we have in week number 3, college football season. That will be when we return.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
Hey everyone, this is Landon Saunders.
And this is Nate Patterson with Cloud9 Fiber.
We're excited to finally be able to offer Lawrenceburg our blazing fast, reliable, and affordable fiber internet services.
If you're looking for a more reliable and more affordable provider, we at Cloud9 Fiber have you covered.
Plans start at $50 a month, and we can offer up to a gigabit to your home or business.
We are excited to be able to offer your first month of service entirely free. We encourage you to sign up on cloud9fiber.com or by calling 931-201-9098 so we can help you make the switch today.
For the best meal from south of the border, head to Cocina Real in Puente Grande for lunch and dinner. With a wide array of mouth-watering entrees, there's something for everyone on the menu. And you can't forget the cheese dip. They'll treat you like family, and you'll never leave hungry. Make Cocina Real Mexican Restaurant and Puente Grande Mexican Restaurant your choice for authentic cuisine, located in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee.
I'm Mike Keith, and my friends at Elliott Johnson Insurance have a great partner in Auto Owners Insurance. Auto Owners makes it easy to get life, home, car, or business insurance. Let Elliott Johnson Insurance find the Auto Owners policy that makes a difference in your life. Call Elliott Johnson Insurance at one of their 3 locations, Florence, Loretta, and Lawrenceburg. Elliott Johnson Insurance, moving forward for our clients every day.
Welcome to Employee Resources Credit Union, where you're more than just a number, you're family. We provide financial solutions that rise above those of traditional banks. With roots stretching back to 1964, we've served 4 generations during constant industry changes. We're known for our low fees and incredible rates. Join us and experience the credit union difference. ERCU, not for profit, for service.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
Yeah, welcome back to X Sports Today. AJ Good here with Michael Marks. Mike, we just got done talking about week number 2 of the college football season. We've got week 1 of the NFL that just wrapped up. Actually wraps up tonight. I forget, the NFL just plays every day of the week at this point. We still got a big one tonight with the Bears and the Vikings. A pretty I don't know what direction that game's going to go in, but man, yesterday, Mike, we had some wild, unexpected outcomes. I mean, the nightcap last night was as good as it gets. What a great comeback by Buffalo. But then you look, I mean, who would have thought Jets and Steelers was going to be a shootout? Who thought that that the Colts were just going to absolute dominate like they did? And the Titans even kept the game close with the Broncos and forced 4 turnovers and made Bo Nix look like a 5th-round pick.
Yeah, and boy, I feel I didn't watch much of the Titans game just because I'm at the point now. It's the Titans are on. You know, it's Cam Moore got sacked 6 times.
Yeah,
I mean he's picking himself off the dirt every play. It feels like, and they're down the stretch.
Some more.
And they're down the stretch. I mean, it's like his receivers had baby oil on their hands. I mean, they couldn't catch anything, and that's kind of what made his stat line look so bad. And then when you don't have a running game that could average more than 3 yards a carry, it forces you to pass the ball.
Well, let's talk about the nightcap, which is by far the best game. Baltimore and Buffalo put on a show. It was 40-25. About 6 minutes left. Buffalo scores, doesn't get the 2-point conversion, and then they get a turnover, make it work, get a stop, and then kick the game-winning field goal as time expires. I mean, I don't know, man. Just weird things happen in Buffalo, but that kind of seems sometimes to be the trend with Baltimore, that they've done this a lot, especially with Lamar Jackson, where they just tend to, at the worst possible times, take their foot off the gas.
Yeah, well, I thought one of the defenses would win this game. That couldn't have been further from the truth. But it looks like Josh Allen's got some receivers. Keon Coleman had a huge game. It's good to see him take a step up in year 2. Josh Palmer, the new addition from the LA Chargers, was a good pickup. But I was surprised. I mean, you kind of feel for Derrick Henry, 170 yards and 2 touchdowns, and that wasn't enough.
Right.
I mean, it was just a crazy game.
His fumble certainly put his team in a really bad spot.
It's crazy when you make 19 good plays in a game, but that one bad one is almost what cost you. But I mean, it was just a great game from start to finish. I'm glad I turned on Sunday Night Football to watch this one because, man, it was a good one.
We mentioned Jets. Steelers did not at all see that being the shootout that eventually became. Justin Fields and that running game for the Jets looked really, really good. Even in a game where they lost their best offensive lineman, still had 394 yards total offense, 182 on the ground, 212 through the air. But we saw some vintage Aaron Rodgers late in that game, and I've been saying it. He's given me Favre with the Vikings vibes with the Steelers right now.
Yeah, but man, Chris Boswell, what a
cool as can be hitting a 60-yard go ahead.
Yeah, that dude is a stone cold killer with that 60-yarder. That's incredible. It felt like a 60-yarder wasn't even something imaginable 10 years ago, and now you got guys knocking in.
It's every day at this point.
I guess the midfield gets you in the field goal range now. But yeah, I mean, Aaron Rodgers looked 25 again, 22 of 30, 245, and 4 touchdowns. Yeah. He looked good, and the Steelers, for some reason, forgotten how to run the ball, which was really what they made their hay on. The Steelers. If you told me they were airing it out and they couldn't run the ball or play defense, I would have easily written this up as a loss. I mean, this had 12-10 written all over it, but just a heck of a game for Aaron Rodgers, and it looks like DK Metcalf's going to fit into Pittsburgh just fine.
Yeah, no. Who was the other guy that he had that kept catching all those balls?
Austin.
Yeah, it's Calvin Austin. He had some big catches, 4 catches off 6 targets in that touchdown. I mean, and all 4 of his touchdown passes to different receivers.
Yeah.
That's when you know Rodgers is locked in.
Yeah, when he's not just, eyeing down Devontae Adams or just for anybody like that. Yeah. So, but he really does have a very, all over the place receiving staff. So, it's good to get them all involved.
Yeah, the Buccaneers and the Falcons actually turned out to be a pretty decent game there at the end. Atlanta had a chance to win it late, couldn't pull through, but there's just something about you give Baker Mayfield the ball late in the game. It's happened in college, and it's happening now. Just in the pros, he's fitting so well in Tampa. And you mentioned it last week. You thought Atlanta needed a game to win that game to make a statement.
Yep.
And it kind of turned the opposite way. Tampa won that game and made a statement.
Yeah, it was crazy how Atlanta's complete inability to run the ball. Yeah. Tyler Algier, 24 yards on 10 carries. Bijan Robinson, 12 carries, 24 yards, and then Michael Penix only 20 yards rushing on his 6 carries. That's not going to get it done in the NFL. No. And especially against a team as good as the Buccaneers. While Baker Mayfield's stat line didn't blow anybody away, something about the dude in Week 1. Yeah. He just doesn't lose games in Week 1, and he had just enough at the end, and I was surprised to see Emeka Egbuka fit in, right in as well as he did. Obviously, the 2 touchdown day in his debut, and it just keeps seeming like anytime Ohio State puts an NFL receiver in the NFL, they're going to end up being amazing.
Buccaneers the only team in the division to win yesterday. Bengals started off great against the Browns, but kind of let Cleveland back in it there, and it got pretty hairy there at the end before the Bengals were able to hang on late.
Yeah, what a weird game. I mean, if I would have told you Joe Burrow was only going to throw for 113 yards, there's nobody that would have thought that the Bengals were going to win that game because they didn't run the ball very well either. And Joe Flacco, his numbers, threw 2 picks, but his numbers looked really well. But Cleveland just doesn't have a lot of pieces on offense, so it's going to be hard for them to get going. I mean, you got Jerry Jeudy. Dylan Sampson had a big game in his debut. But, just not enough pieces on Cleveland's offense. But props to their defense for completely shutting down Joe Burrow. I mean, T. Higgins was your leading receiver with 30 yards. Jamar Chase looked like he had never played in the NFL before. So, I mean, it was just an all-around bad week for the Bengals, but they're lucky to come out of this one 1-0.
Yeah, Houston did not look great. And the Rams didn't really look great either. I thought the Texans' defense, for how much it was on the field, looked really good against the Rams. But, man, I know they were missing their top 2 receivers, but man, C.J. Stroud looked lost yesterday in that game. And it's 14-9. That's how the Rams won, but it felt 41-9, not 14-9.
Yeah, you could definitely tell there was no Tank Dell and no Stephon Diggs in that one. But Nick Chubb looked pretty good in his debut for Houston. But on for the Rams, Matt Stafford did just enough to get it done, and Kyren Williams has really turned himself into a top 3 or 4 back in the NFL. I really do believe that. It's just ever since he's been kind of the premier back in LA, at least in the fantasy side of things, that dude's been awesome.
Big win for the 49ers in Seattle yesterday, coming from behind. Darnold didn't struggled a bit. He got sacked a lot. The Niners were in his face all day. They got a big stop there at the end. Brock Purdy, at least in this game, leading the come from behind win there to especially late in the game to score it with under 2 minutes left. So he's at least proven a little bit that he's worth of that contract. But George Kittle goes down, but it proved something about San Francisco and having like 12 tight ends on the roster and all of them doing big things yesterday.
Yeah, obviously, Kittle goes down and that, sucks for them, as well as Juwan Jennings going down. But, it seems that, I don't know how they keep doing it, but they just found another SEC receiver. This one, Ricky Pearsall, had a great game, 4 catches, 108 yards.
Huge catches.
And Christian McCaffrey doing what he does. You think you slow him down running the ball, and then he'll hit you out of the backfield for a big one. So just an all around pretty good game from the 49ers. But on the Seahawks side of things, I thought Sam Darnold.
Darnold. I don't know why. I said Darnold. I was thinking the Mets catcher.
Darnold, it just kind of felt like Seattle didn't trust him enough.
Right.
But Jackson Smith and Jigba is awesome for him.
Pretty good.
I was surprised how little they went at Cooper Kupp. Obviously that's a guy
One catch, right?
Two catches, but not hardly any yards to speak of, and that's a guy that had put up one of the best receiving seasons in NFL history just 2 or 3 years ago. So it's kind of insane to see how far he's kind of fallen down.
Saints try to have the ball late to tie or take the lead from the Cardinals, and their loss. Raiders looked really good on the road there against the Patriots, but I think the best 2 performances we had yesterday, Mike, Packers dominant against the Lions at home, then the Colts, 7 drives. Scored all 7 times and just dominate the Dolphins 33-8.
Yeah, probably the most surprising score of the day. If I told you the Colts-Dolphins was 33-8, you just thought that Tua had a big game. But no, I mean, he was picking himself off the ground, throwing picks, throwing to the other team again.
44 yards total offense in the first half the Dolphins had.
Yeah, but man, Daniel Jones looked really good. And there hasn't been many times we've been able to say that. But, I mean, they were good on all ends. I mean, Jonathan Taylor was able to run the ball very well. Michael Pittman, Tyler Warren, the new tight end out of Penn State, had a really good game, and the defense just absolutely shut down Miami. They really didn't get anything going running the ball, and obviously Tua had a rough day. It was bad enough that Zach Wilson was coming in for a little bit, so it was a rough day for the Dolphins.
Just one game left tonight, Mike. Vikings and Bears. Vikings, it's the debut for J.J. McCarthy. Bears have a lot to prove with Ben Johnson coming in as the first-year head coach with Caleb Williams in that bunch, and a lot of unknowns in this game tonight. I felt like the unknowns had some knowns, and the knowns but turned into unknowns in week number 1. So
yeah, we didn't actually know
what we're going to get here tonight.
Yeah, well, I mean, my mind tells me that this is going to be a low-scoring game, that defenses are really going to tell the story, because I just don't know if what we're going to get from Caleb Williams or J.J. McCarthy, because those are 2 guys that are very unproven here in the early goings of the season. We didn't see much from them. Obviously, we didn't see J.J. McCarthy last year. What we saw of Caleb Williams last year was really 50-50, so I think new offensive coordinator, new minds in Chicago could make things interesting for them, because they do have a ton of weapons on offense. But let's see if J.J. McCarthy really is the guy from Minnesota.
All right, well, coming up next here, Mike, close out the show. We'll take a look at week number 3. We got some big ones in college football coming up next. We'll take a look at those when we return.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
There's no job too big or too small for Gonzalez Lawn and Landscapes. Owner Chris Gonzalez works hard to make your commercial or residential properties one of the neighbors will envy. You won't find a lower price anywhere else, and that's a guarantee. We offer mowing, landscape removal, small construction jobs, and more. Our team is licensed and insured to ensure the best work for Lawrence County and surrounding areas. Your satisfaction is our goal. We won't leave until you're happy. Call today to set up a free quote.
Make your property rock and roll with services from GNS Excavating, specializing in white sand, compost, mulch, topsoil, landscape gravel, and steel landscape edging. Turn to the pros who know how to make your project shine with years of experience. The best part is they're locally owned and operated. Choose from a vast selection of mulch and rock from their conveniently located facility at number 3 Valley Road in Lawrenceburg, just off Buffalo Road. Phone 931-279-3841 and get started today.
Hey, this is Phil Hooper. Get the look you want for your favorite school, church, or business with apparel from HD Ink Screen Printing in Leoma, Tennessee. Got a logo you need embroidered or screen printed? Let HD Ink give you the professional look that sets the bar in today's world. We do fundraisers and custom designed apparel and so much more. Call today, 931-201-2961, or come see us at our new shop located at 26 Ingram Road in Leoma. Remember, HD Ink for the look you want and the look you deserve.
A Moment in Real Estate with my dad, Jeff Hood.
You know, I get asked a lot about what the market's going to do. How's the real estate market? I've been selling real estate for a long time, and nobody has a crystal ball. And you know what? When it's your time to buy or your time to sell, it really doesn't matter what the market's doing. It's your time, and you have to do something maybe. What makes a difference is the agents and the experience that go to work for you. We're Keller Williams Hood Company, located here in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. We can help.
Hood Company, powered by Keller Williams, the #1 name in real estate.
There's a reason owners Tyler and Cindy McDowell chose the name In Service for their towing business. They did because it's their goal to be in service for you on the day that you need them the most. In-Service Towing is now known far and wide for their response time because minutes matter when you're broken down. Or their 24/7 availability, you can call them anytime for service. Their professional team with years of experience and their fairness, plus their know-how in dealing with the unexpected. But the thing that In-Service is known best for is how they treat their customers, and that's like family. When you need them, call them 931-843-9098.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
And welcome back here to X Sports Today. AJ Good with Michael Marks. And Mike, we're going to take a look at week number 3 of the college football season coming up. We got some big ones to get through. We do have some Thursday.
Yes,
we got
finally.
NC State's playing another conference game. They got Wake Forest on the road. Wake Forest rebounded after barely beating Kennesaw, so they're both of them are coming in at 2-0. But I think NC State's resume is way better. Beat East Carolina, who then I think beat their next opponent 69-3.
Yeah,
and then have that nice come from behind win, and literally just going down Tobacco Road to take on Wake Forest there in Winston-Salem. Should be a interesting Thursday night, and I love at least. I think it's, the Big 12 has kind of dominated Friday night, some Big 10 games in there as well. I like that we have something on Thursday. That's one of my, if I ever become the commissioner of college football, we are going to make Thursday night football great again. I'm going to broker a deal with the NFL to get them off of Thursday night and make Thursday night great for college football again. But at least this one, not bad. If NC State goes in there and wins, it's like, okay, well, maybe this team is going to be a factor.
Well, it's going to be better than those Colts and Broncos games that we get on Thursday night football. That's 9-6. Yeah. While this NC State game and Wake Forest might not be as clean as an NFL game, it's definitely going to be a little crazy. Yeah. But I think Dave Doran's doing one of his best coaching jobs this year, because obviously nobody had high hopes for NC State coming into this year. They had some expectations last year when they got Coastal Carolina transfer Grayson McCall. Obviously, the injury. And just didn't really work out for them. But this year, it seems like he's doing a much better coaching job. Not as much big time talent, but he's getting them to play hard, and that's all you can ask for as a college coach, especially in the era we're in today.
My iPad is deciding it does not want to cooperate here, so I got to go to the phone. We do got a couple good Big 12 matchups coming up here on Friday night. Okay, Colorado at Houston, and that will be well, almost at the same time. Now, finally, my iPad updates as this comes together. Kansas State at Arizona. So
not a conference game, though. That Kansas State and Arizona game is not a Big 12 conference game. This was
Whoa.
one of those that was made
Okay.
before the conference realignment.
Interesting.
So, yes, Kansas State and Arizona are playing in a non-conference game while they're in the same conference.
Colorado and Houston.
That is a conference game, yes.
Houston off to a 2-0 start. Colorado at 1-1. Really interesting game for both of these teams. Just trying to figure out who they are right now. Again, two teams that weren't exactly pricked to finish anywhere near the top of the Big 12, and they're getting a primetime spot here to see what they can do.
Yeah, some weird stuff going on in the quarterback room at Colorado. Caden Salter and Julian Lewis were two highly touted guys, but it seems like Staubs kind of became the guy last Saturday against Delaware. But I mean, Willie Fritz is going to have a tough team in Houston. He always did when he was at Coastal or when he was at Tulane. So, obviously defense looked really good against Stephen F. Austin and Rice. So, I mean, I think Houston's in a pretty good spot, and them getting to host this game definitely puts them in a better spot heading into their first Big 12 game of the year.
We don't know much about Arizona, obviously, going in this. Playing a Big 12 opponent, but it's a non-Big 12 game. But Kansas State, I mean, you blow that game in Ireland to Iowa State, and Iowa State's, well, that's one game we forgot to talk about, but the Iowa State with that another last-second kick to beat Iowa, so they're at 3-0. But Kansas State blows that game there. They come back the next week, need a late touchdown to beat North Dakota. And then Army holds them to what, like 5 possessions?
Yeah,
in
the entire game. Yeah,
and beats them 24-21, and they have had one roller coaster of a season so far.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to start to see more proponents of the "please don't send us to Ireland" crowd. It's never worked for the team that loses out there. I mean, obviously, it was a tough loss for Kansas State to Iowa State to start the year. Get the bounce back win, and then this week you get a game against Army, and you're like, all right, we'll get back on track to an Army team that lost to an FCS team this season already, and then just completely fell apart. I mean, Avery Johnson cannot throw the ball.
No,
he's not a very good thrower, and they're not running him very much either. So it's made him hard to be productive, out there in general. When you forget they ran Will Howard off for Avery Johnson, and then
literally, I was getting ready to say that
you run Will Howard off, and he goes and wins a national championship, and you're stuck with Avery Johnson praying you can make a bowl game at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he can't even keep his family from not fighting in the stands or outside of the stadium.
I think they're good in the United States, but it definitely didn't go well in Ireland.
Too much Guinness. The other game we got Friday, Nico and UCLA, they got put in the big hole against UNLV. They almost got out of it, but old Nico, the Nico that Tennessee fans came to love and loathe, came out late in that game. UNLV, which we all thought was going to be a good team, they're 3-0 right now and not looking half bad at the same time. But New Mexico comes there. So, I mean, that's not a given that UCLA is going to win this game.
No, I mean, they're just trying to find anything positive. Nico, he the first half against UNLV on Saturday was awful. I mean, there was no pretty way to put it. Started moving the ball a lot better in the second half, started putting some points up, but, when it came down to it, turnover in the clutch, and that's kind of what sold it. And, I saw an idea this morning that maybe Nico's dad was just actually the biggest Tennessee fan ever, and he knew that Tennessee would never win with the son at quarterback, so they left. So, I don't know, but it's just a bad start to the year for UCLA, and you feel bad for them because they were so excited when they got this, 5-star transfer, and it's just not gone well.
No, and Tennessee fans don't miss them.
Not one bit.
Before we get to the Tennessee game, we'll finish with that. Clemson and Georgia Tech. Clemson has not looked great. Georgia Tech has.
Yeah.
And they got to go to Atlanta. I know it's not a bad trip. It's a pretty short trip for Clemson. They'll probably go on the buses there, but they're literally stepping into a Yellow Jacket nest down there for a team that might be an upset. I mean, if Georgia Tech wins, this is not an upset by any stretch.
No, not like a crazy upset.
Right,
yeah,
right.
I mean, this is exactly what Miami walked into last year around Halloween, and look what happened to them. They ended up missing the playoff because of it. And this Georgia Tech team is somehow still unranked, but one of the quietly best 2-0 teams in the country. Haynes King has been really good this year, and if that offense keeps rolling, and as bad as Clemson's offense has looked, and especially their defense trying to stop the run, I mean this one's got Georgia Tech written all over it.
Another early game, Wisconsin and Alabama, and Well, we don't know much about Wisconsin. They've beat a couple low-level opponents. Sorry, MTSU. But, last time Alabama played a Power 4 team, they got beat. But this one's in their home ballpark on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, and Wisconsin's definitely not at the same level as a Florida State team. And, you come in and you see Wisconsin 2-0, Alabama 1-1. I mean, don't let that fool you one bit. Alabama's favored by 3 touchdowns and may very well win by that much. I mean, it wasn't a very competitive game when they played in Madison last year, and I don't expect it to be a very competitive one this year.
An unexpected ranked game, probably the best one of the mid-slate outside of the game we're going to talk about last. South Florida and Miami. That is going to be really, really interesting, and no one thought this was going to be an interesting game coming into the year.
Yeah.
It just got real. South Florida could be the state champs by the end of this.
Yeah, they could get to American Conference play and be like a top 10 team in the country. It'd be crazy. But, man, I mean, what a job Alex Golesh has done to start this year. Byron Brown was really good in 2023, was injured last year, so you didn't get to see him very much, and has come out in 2025 with his hair on fire. Obviously, you saw them completely dominate Boise, and honestly, they kind of dominated Florida. I mean, their defense was awesome, and their quarterback did just enough to get them down there to kick the game-winning field goal. And listen, they got a Grammatica, so anywhere inside of midfield is good range for him. So I don't think South Florida. I think this is kind of where the fairy tale comes to an end. But it would be interesting to see them keep up with Miami and see if they can make it a game down the stretch.
Do get some conference games. Arkansas and Ole Miss. Arkansas is off to a 2-0 start. They've looked pretty good. Ole Miss and Arkansas scoring some points as well. Ole Miss sitting there at 2-0 as well. And then we got Texas A&M starting the nightcap at Notre Dame. Both teams with a lot to prove, especially Notre Dame. They had a week off this past week, and they go from playing a really good Miami team, and then you got a really good Texas A&M team coming to South Bend.
Yeah, and you forget, this was a week 1 matchup last year. That was still when Connor Wigman was the guy for Texas A&M. Now they got Marcel Reed, a dual threat quarterback that has shown a lot with his arm early in the season. It's a new look Texas A&M team. Mike Elko did a really good job in the transfer portal, bringing in some talent, and I think this is a much better Texas A&M team than we see last year. But I also think that Notre Dame, while they're not as good as they were last year, I don't think it's as big as a drop-off as everybody's making it seem. I expect Notre Dame to come out and play much more confident this week.
We talked about Arkansas and Ole Miss. How about Vandy at South Carolina? That's a sneaky good one, 6:45 on Saturday night.
Yeah, common opponents would tell us that this is Vanderbilt's game, but South Carolina, for some reason, has had Vanderbilt's number for the past decade.
Decades.
Yeah. And it's funny to say that South Carolina has anybody's number, but anytime Vanderbilt comes to town, it seems like they're ready. But I don't know if they're ready for this Vanderbilt team. I mean, they are a lot like they are like last year's team, but more talented. Right. They have they have the swagger about them. They have the moxie. But they're also just more talented this year. I mean, you saw it on the field Saturday that, man, I mean, they just outskilled Virginia Tech, and it feels weird to say that about a Vanderbilt team. They're good.
Yeah. Florida at LSU was originally looking like one of the best games in the slate there on Saturday, but that loss to South Florida, it literally took Florida out of the top 25, but still pretty dangerous team going into LSU. They did beat LSU in the swamp last year.
Yeah, a night game, LSU doesn't lose at home very often, but Florida always gives them a good fight. And this Florida team, I mean, it looked bad last weekend, and obviously, DJ Lagway does not look like the guy he was supposed to be. I think that injury is still lingering a little bit, and it's caused him to kind of play a half step slower. But listen, LSU still got a number 3 by their name, but they're not the third best team in the country. I hate to tell you, but Garrett Nussmeier hasn't looked great. Their run game didn't look good this last week. I get you don't want to show everything versus Louisiana Tech, but the only thing they showed me is that they're going to have a hard time with Florida Saturday.
The big one, at least in our eyes here, I'm going to be there. Are you going to be there?
It was almost going to work out that way, but I think I'm going to be watching from St. Joe.
Okay, well, I'll be watching from I can't. It's like why can't they just do like 405 like every other normal place in the freaking country? Anyways, that's another rant for another time. At least I know how to get there. Maybe I got lost last year, even though I've been there a million times. Georgia at Tennessee, and that's a big one. A lot of implications. Georgia, looked good against Marshall. Did not look good against Austin Peay, but I think the lightning delay had a lot to do with that. And Kirby doesn't really run up the score on people. But this is first real road test. Tennessee's already kind of been tested a bit. Syracuse has proven to be a little bit better than a lot of people expected, especially offensively. Steve Angeli and them can really throw it across the yard. So they've gotten a bit of a test there, but it's about Tennessee is due for a win over the Dogs at home.
Well, the way Georgia's played so far through this season, I think it's a game that falls into Tennessee's play style. Georgia's like to run the ball, and Tennessee is good at stopping the run. The one caution is how they're going to be in the pass game. They're going to be without Ricky Gibson and Jermon McCoy. They're top two corners for this game. But Georgia hasn't really looked like much of a threat throwing the ball. They got Zachariah Branch out of the portal from USC, and you felt like that was going to be a big play, for them, but it's a lot of short passes. It's a lot of little screens and stuff like that. Now, obviously, I don't think they're going to show anything crazy this early in the season. But I mean, Tennessee's offense has looked good. Georgia's offense hasn't looked good. So history and the spreads dropped from Georgia -7 to Georgia -3.5 just today. So College Game Day is going to be there. They got Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler calling a game before sundown, so it's got to be a big one.
Yeah, but, you can thank Vol fans. You can thank one of the teams on this desk for because Herbstreit literally said if West Virginia would have beat Ohio, they were going to be at the backyard brawl.
Yep.
I'll talk about that game later. I'm still upset after what happened on Saturday. I'm not going to go down that road quite yet. But if they beat Pitt, everything will be good. It's going on at the same time, so maybe it's a good thing. I'll be in Neyland Stadium, not watching and being a nervous mess and teaching all my kids new words that they've never heard before. So it's probably a good thing. But Mike, we got a really good, exciting slate coming up here, and then we've got more of the NFL to look forward to as we'll see in week number 2. So for Michael Marks, this is AJ Good here on X Sports Today. See you guys tomorrow, same time at around 1:30.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.